Mr. Citro, we've got 12. If you give us a couple seconds, we'll probably get the 13th person.
Okay. While we're waiting, Johnny, good to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you too. We don't see each other too often. Hopefully,
Yes, I know.
we'll make it in person one of these days.
Yes, let's hope so.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. You and the family doing all right?
Yeah, we had a lovely Eid last week, and I'm excited to be drinking and eating during the day.
Yeah.
I hear you.
And he's contributing to our growth management in Hillsborough County. They have a little one coming. He's another little boy. It's exciting. Okay, Gail, I think we're at our numbers now, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
All right.
Too. Thanks for double checking. All right.
That's all for the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could, please. I pledge allegiance. Flag.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. May we have roll call, please?
Yes, give me one moment. I need to move a couple of people and I will get right to that. Okay, here we go. Joseph Citro.
I'm here.
Cal Hardy. I know I saw him come
I'm
in.
here. I'm here.
Okay.
Can y'all hear me? Sorry,
Yeah.
I never know if I'm muted or not.
Una Johnson.
Oh, shows are here, but shows are offline. Jason, maybe you can figure out what's going on there.
Okay, I'll come back to her. Mark Hudson.
Present.
Michael Marino. Melissa Colizzo. Or Peter.
Present.
Oh, Melissa's here. Okay, great. David Hay.
Here.
I had Marianne Abramson as well.
But you don't have to read the alternates names. They
Okay.
can both attend, but we only have to count one.
Gotcha, thank you. Emily Hinsdale or Whit Remmer?
I'm here.
Emily, thank you. Karen Cashin?
She's here. This might be having meeting problems, but I saw her here.
Yes, I do see her present. Let's see here, Richard Rank. Karen Kress.
Good morning.
Matthew Lewis.
I'm here.
Justin Willits. Or Nicole McCleary. Christopher Cochran.
I haven't seen them.
Okay. Roger Menendez.
He's communicated absent.
Okay. Casey Degenhart. Jason Jackman.
Here.
Catherine Coyle.
Present.
Arizona Jenkins. Carlos Ramirez. Chris Miller. Sarah Hendricks.
Here.
Lisa, can you help me with Anna's last name, please?
Keones.
Anna Quiones. Gus Ignas. Sandra Piccirilli.
Here.
Matthew Pleasant. or Amber Dickerson.
He just was asking for the link, so I'm sure he'll be here in a second because I just sent it to him. And for everyone, if you ever lose your link and can't find it on your calendar or in your email, it's always, always, always posted on the planhillsboro.org website under calendars. Just go click there and it's got all the same information that's in the agenda. Clicks you right in, and then we'll just add you to the as a presenter or a panelist. Okay.
Excuse me, Lisa, Justin Willits is here, but having microphone issues. He asked me to let you know.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Justin.
So, Ms.
Luna's
Lisa,
here too. Sorry, I had to restart my computer. Just wanted to say I'm here.
Yay, thank you. So you came back. Yay. All right. Mr. Citro, take it away.
thank you very much. So we can confirm that we do have a quorum, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from April 21st, 2021.
Karen Kress, so moved.
David, second.
We have a motion made by Karen Kress, seconded by David Hay. All in favor, say aye.
Hey,
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Why don't we move into our first discussion items? Anybody from the Transportation Improvement Program update? Mr. Wong.
Oh, let me, I gotta make him presenter. Hold on.
Morning, LRC. Let me get situated. All right, I got the request, Lisa. And let me set it up so that you can only see the presentation. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yep, seeing full slides.
Okay, cool. Johnny Wong, Hillsborough TPO, and I am the project manager for this year's Transportation Improvement Program update. And I'm going to be walking you through a briefing of the updates to this year's TIP. I want to begin by, or I want to open up by explaining some basics about the TIP. This presentation is broken down into 3 sections, and in the first section, I'm going to cover some background information about what the TIP is, why we have one, why it's updated on an annual basis, and then later in the presentation in sections 2 and 3, I'm going to present the changes and additions which have been made this year. So to begin, the TIP is, in years past, a somewhat confusing document. It's actually pretty simple in what it's intended to be, but our goal this year in managing the TIP and its update was to simplify, simplify, simplify. And it can be broken down into a very quick synopsis, which is the TIP is a plan that has 5 years worth of transportation projects in it. These 5 years are the first 5 of our long-range plan. So if you look on the left of this slide, you can see an image of the 2045 plan that we adopted a little more than a year ago. That plan is long range, meaning that it's at least a 20, if not 25-year vision. As a result of it being such a long vision into the future, it's not really practical to detail all of the projects that will get constructed across Hillsborough County over that time period. It's just way too many projects to account for. So in lieu of that, or not in lieu of that, but to complement that, we have the TIP. The TIP is only 5 years worth of projects as opposed to 20 or 25. And because it's so short, the projects listed in it are able to be described in a lot more detail than the long-range plan. So the long-range plan on the left is intentionally broad, whereas the TIP on the right is far more specific. The TIP is one of the TPO's main responsibilities, and in the state of Florida, it has to contain 5 years worth of projects, and it has to be updated on an annual basis. There are a lot of other federal and state requirements that apply to the TIP and its production, but the main ones are that it has to be consistent with the long-range plan, it has to be coordinated with FDOT and HART, It has to include regionally significant projects, the projects in it, any projects that are going to be funded with Federal Highway Administration dollars or Federal Transit Administration dollars have to be included. It can't be a wish list. It has to be cost feasible, meaning this isn't just some imaginary list of all the projects we would like to do. The costs and revenues for each agency have to balance out. And then finally, the tip has to be submitted to the public for feedback. In the tip, we include a list of priority projects, and the prioritization methodology for creating that list has to be documented and it has to be data-driven. So the tip is really just a document with a lot of lists of projects. The three lists loosely fit into these three tables, and I'll explain all three of them in a few minutes. So within the tip, there are three tables or three lists. Table 1 is a list of projects that have already been elevated to the status of priorities, meaning that any projects you see in Table 1 have demonstrated that they will address an urgent need in the community, whether that's safety, congestion, infrastructure, multimodal travel. Any of those needs will be addressed by a project that's listed in Table 1. Any project that is listed on this table either has or will receive money for construction. And we have been told by the district, the FDOT district, that projects on this list need to remain on the list until construction is to complete. That really demonstrates to the state and federal reviewers that any project on this table still has community support, and we want it to get completed to address the need. Table 2 is a list of projects that have been submitted to us by jurisdictions, and we have evaluated them. And based on our evaluation, we believe that they will address an urgent need. So when candidate projects are submitted to us, we have to make a determination as to whether or not they will address a community need and to what extent they'll address that need. If a project is included in this table, it means that it's awaiting funding. And one other thing about Table 2 is that it is ranked. So any project that appears on Table 2, again, it is a priority, and they're ranked according to the impact that we believe they will have. Projects at the top of the list, we believe will have a more significant impact than projects toward the bottom. Table 3 is the longest of the three lists. It's the longest because it includes all of the FDOT projects that are listed in the current work program. It also includes requests that we get for planning studies and some other projects that don't neatly fit into our investment programs. We list projects in Table 3 that have been taken from each of the jurisdictions' capital improvements program. We do that for convenience and for coordination. So the thought is, if someone wants to know all of the projects that are going to be completed within the next 5 years across all of Hillsborough County, whether they're a city project, a county project, HART, FIA, what have you, we want them to be able to look in TIP Table 3 and find it. We just want to make it convenient for the public to identify what projects are going to move forward. It also helps for coordination purposes because by listing all the projects together, we can get a sense of which projects will work together, and we don't want to include any projects that might be incompatible, let's say. One thing to remember about Table 3 is that the TPO doesn't actually control what projects are listed in the CIPs. We don't have anything to do with, or not anything, but we don't have much to do with the projects that are funded with local dollars. But we do, of course, include them in the list just because that assists with coordination. I want to go back to Table 2 for just a second and explain the process of how we rank Table 2, how we rank the priorities that are submitted to us. So the process kind of looks like this. Every year we meet with the jurisdictions, and by jurisdictions I mean our agency partners like Hillsborough County, Temple Terrace, Plant City, City of Tampa, HART, FIA, Airport, Seaport. We meet with TBARTA as well. We meet with all of those agencies and we go through a list of the previous year's priorities and ask them if they'd like us to make any changes. The goal here is to figure out if projects that they submitted as priorities in the past are still priorities for the agency. If not, we'll remove them. And then of course, they have new priorities that they want us to add to the list. So with that list of new priorities that they would like to have added onto the list, we take them all. This year, I think that there were about 24 or so, and we organize them according to which investment program they will have an impact on. If you look at the icons to the far right of this screen that are color-coded, we organize the projects into these programs according to what we foresee as the benefits of each. So if a project like a bus replacement is submitted to us, that'll go in this red icon, which stands for state of good repair. It's basically infrastructure maintenance. If a safety project is submitted, we'll dump it into the Vision Zero program, which is shown here. A project that could improve reliability or relieve congestion would go in smart cities. A multimodal project like a new bus route or a trail or a side path might go in real choices when not driving, which is the blue icon. And then finally, any major capacity projects like highway widenings, major transit projects, or projects that are just really high dollar, they would get added to this fifth program, which is major investments for economic growth. So anyway, once we have the submissions organized into the investment program, we try to find whatever data we can locate and use that to evaluate the impact of each of the projects. Once we're able to evaluate the impact, we then rank the projects again in order from most impactful to least. So table 2, that is the list of the priorities that are unfunded but in need of funding. So once the list is complete, we go through each project and we try to match it to a funding source based on the goals of the project, which agency submits it, and the facility type. So if you look at the column that I've circled in red on table 2, it gives you a sense of what funding sources we believe might that the project might be applicable to receive. Some of the more there are a ton of funding codes. I'll get that out of the way, but some of the ones that appear pretty frequently are SU funds. SU funds are flexible, meaning that they can be spent on a variety of different kinds of projects, including mass transit, bike ped, roads, highways. Those are probably our most flexible funds. Some of the funds that are a little bit more special purpose could include things like TA. TA stands for Transportation Alternatives, and that money is intended to fund smaller multimodal projects. So it's pretty much limited to bike ped facilities, recreational trails, and a few other things. One of the funding codes that is a little bit more restrictive is CIGP, CIGP. That stands for the County Incentive Grant Program, and it provides grants to counties for projects that can demonstrate that they're going to alleviate traffic congestion on the state highway system. So there are 3 restrictions to how those funds can be used. Another good resource for understanding the TIP and the projects included in tables 1, 2, and 3 is the TIP tool. The TIP tool is something that we built internally and posted on our website. The link is at the very top of this slide. You can see a list of all of the projects that have been adopted into last year's TIP. And if you go to this little button that I've circled with that red circle, you can turn on and off layers to show different demographic characteristics around the county. So if you go onto the TIP tool, it pre-populates with all of the TIP projects, and then you can click around and see which of those projects are located in parts of the county that have a high proportion of racial minorities or low-income households. And it gives you a little bit of a sense of what the equity value is for all of these projects. All right, so that pretty much wraps up section 1. That's background on how to read the TIP and how to understand the tables and what they mean. In this next section, I'm going to go through some of the highlights and point out parts of tables 1, 2, and 3 that have changed from the previous year. This year's table 1 has had several changes from last year's version. Previous versions of table 1, the projects were all just included in a non-strategic way, or I mean, they were just kind of like listed all over the place. So we made it a point to organize them according to which investment program they belong to. So you can see that they're all color coded, and that corresponds to red is state of good repair, orange is Vision Zero, purple is smart cities, blue is real choices when not driving, and green are the capacity projects. In this year's table 1, 10 projects were removed from last year's TIP table 1 because they were, well, construction was completed. Some of the projects that were completed last year and hence removed them from the list are the Marion Transit concrete improvements. There was a resurfacing project to improve pavement on Bush Boulevard. There was some streetcar maintenance for the streetcar track. Stowers and Summerfield Elementaries had sidewalk projects, safety projects to improve sidewalk connectivity around the schools. There were some operational improvements at intersections on Dale Mabry Highway, as well as Courtney Campbell Causeway. There were a couple transit projects like the Hart Airporter, the Cross Bay Ferry, and then there was a capacity project completed on Bruce B. Downs Boulevard. A few of the projects from last year's table 1 were removed as a request from some implementing agencies. So a couple safety projects were removed by the city of Tampa, including Rome Ave, and then a segment on the Green Spine. A couple multimodal projects from Thea on the Selman Greenway, and one at the Green Artery, or one of the Green Artery. And then we added a bunch to the list because they secured funding this year, so construction can move forward. Remember that this table is a list of just the priorities that have received funding for construction. A longer list of some projects that are not priorities that are moving forward this year is included in table 3, and I'll show that later. Oh, sorry, I forgot to identify the projects that are added to table 1. Bus replacements for Hart, bus stop capital repairs, maintenance of the T-Bar to Vanpool fleet, and then there were almost 100 infrastructure projects that could include, or sorry, not 100. There were a couple projects to resurface and improve bridges at various locations. There were some safety projects, including 2 on Fowler Ave and 2 segments of the Green Spine. There was an intersection improvement at US 41 and Palm River Road. There were some network improvements to the West Riverwalk in Tampa, and a major project to connect the Howard Franklin Bridge to the trail network on the Tampa side of the bridge. All right, table 2. Table 2 is the part of the TIP that requires the most time and effort to put together. This is really the portion of the TIP update that is the heavy lift. As I mentioned earlier, table 2 is a list of the priority projects that are seeking funding, and we believe, based on our evaluation, that they're going to make progress toward achieving our targets. Most of what I've chosen to include on this slide will look familiar to you all because it shows how the TIP is connected to some of our other documents, like the State of the System report. For a project to make it onto the TIP priority list, it should have an impact on one of the measures that I've highlighted in red. We actually don't prioritize bridge and sidewalk projects, so there's not a strong need for a lot of performance data to evaluate whether or not a resurfacing project or a bridge maintenance project is needed. We know that they are, and there is a huge backlog of projects related to resurfacing and bridge improvement. So rather than digging through performance data, we typically just end up allocating a certain amount of SU funds to either, well, HART or T-BARDA to just go ahead and improve their assets. Some of the money that we've allocated to HART this year, on the order of about $4 million, is to repair and replace buses, bus stops. Those are kind of like a recurring expense. This year, a new priority was added to Table 2 to repair or replace the HART heavy maintenance facility. The request from HART was for $65 million to replace the facility. That's a huge ask. We, of course, don't have that much money to allocate to HART, so HART staff is working on phasing that project into a series of smaller bite-sized chunks so that we can kind of fund it over a number of years. That's actually HART's top priority, so we jettisoned that to the top of the state of good repair list on Table 2. For the second investment program, Vision Zero, I'm sure that you all are familiar with this because we do this on an annual basis. We update targets and show you the progress that we've made in making our road network safer every year. Two of the performance criteria that we really focus on when we're ranking safety projects is the number of fatalities and the number of serious injuries. To actually do the evaluation, we pull at least 5 years worth of crash data. We sort through all of the crashes across the entire county and find the number of fatal and injury crashes, and then divide that by the number of miles for each of these projects. So you can see that on this slide, I've shown you how each of these projects rank across the Vision Zero program from 6 to 22. The project that's ranked number 6 on Dale Mabry from Mango Ave to Pearl Ave, we believe will have a very significant impact in reducing the number of crashes each year. Just for reference, that project scored a 12.64. And then moving down the list, West Shore Boulevard Complete Street Project, that scored a 10.68. And then the rest of the projects are kind of decreasing as you go down the list, but they still have a significant impact. So this year we added priority number 6, which is Dale Mabry from Mango to Pearl Ave. Number 8 is the West Shore Boulevard Complete Street Project. Number 10 is MLK Boulevard from US 301 to Turkey Creek. 13 is a sidewalk around Tomlin Middle School in Plant City. 15 is a sidewalk around Marshall Middle School, also in Plant City. 16 is another complete street project in Tampa on Lois Ave from Kennedy to Boy Scout Boulevard. 17 and 18 are safety projects in Temple Terrace, the first on Bullard Parkway from Glenarvin to 78th Street, and 18 is Davis Road from Morris Bridge to Temple Terrace Highway. 19 is West Shore Boulevard project from Fair Oaks to Neptune, and 22 is Ashley Drive from Tyler to Laurel Street. The third investment program in Table 2 is Smart Cities. Smart Cities program is oriented toward improving reliability more so than reducing congestion. This part of the state has a ton of traffic. And so we know that there's going to be congestion regardless of what projects we do on any given road. So rather than focusing on reducing the amount of traffic, we choose to improve reliability. And that's really about just ensuring that your travel time is consistent on a daily basis. We don't want your commute to take you an hour one day and 15 minutes the next. As best as we can, we want to make sure that that time is consistent. There are a ton of performance criteria that we can look at when we're ranking projects in the Smart Cities program. Beginning with peak period travel time, we look at how consistent the commute time is during the morning and afternoon rush hour. We can also look at the travel delay, how long you're going to be spending sitting in traffic on a daily basis. If it's an intersection project to improve flow through a turn movement, we could look at delay on the quarter-mile approaches. If it's a project specific to a location, like a congestion project around, let's say like a hospital or a school, we can look at delay on all the roads that are within 1 square mile of that location. And then for some of the transit projects, we look at on-time performance. That measures how frequently the bus arrives to its destination within a certain window of time. This year, we have 4 additions to the Smart Cities program on Table 2. The top 3 are all, or numbers 32, 34, and 35 are all intersection improvements in Plant City. The first is Alexander Street at Jim Johnson Road. The second is Alexander Street at James Redmond Parkway, and then South Park Road at Coronet. And lastly, we have a request for an advanced traffic management system upgrade for HART to acquire some scheduling software that'll help coordinate employee time schedules and make sure that buses have a driver and that the bus will arrive to its destination at the prescribed time. The 4th investment program is Real Choices When Not Driving. This focuses on multimodal travel. To rank these projects, we look at the population density within about a quarter mile, which is like a convenient walking distance away from either a trail, side path, sidewalk, or new bus service. This year, we added 4 projects to this part of the list. The 39th priority is 14th Street from north of Columbus Drive to south of 13th Ave, right in the Ybor area. That's the Green Spine Corridor, and it was requested by the City of Tampa. Number 40 is also a City of Tampa request to fill in the Adamo Drive Greenway gap from 22nd Street to 34th Street. 43 was a request from Temple Terrace for a footbridge on Whiteway Drive that will be able to accommodate low-speed electric vehicles like golf carts, as well as pedestrians and cyclists. And then lastly, the South Tampa Greenway at Picnic Island Park. That was requested by the City of Tampa, and I believe that's also a regional priority. The 5th and final investment program is Major Investments for Economic Growth. Some of the projects that fall into this category are either high dollar, like very expensive projects, capacity additions like highway widening projects, or mass transit. We look at a few different metrics to rank these projects. Number 1 is whether or not they're located or they connect people to jobs. So we look at the employment density that is served by the project. We can also look at volume to capacity ratio, which gives us an idea of how congested or how bad traffic is along that corridor. And then finally, we can look at delay reduction. That kind of measures what traffic relief will be granted by completing that project. We have 5 additions to this program this year. The first is the West Shore Interchange. That's a major reconstruction at the connection of 275 and Veterans Expressway. The 51st priority is North-South Metro Rapid construction. That's the Tampa Arterial Bus Rapid Transit. 53 is Brush Street from Whiting to Kennedy Boulevard. That's connected to the Water Street development. 56 is a widening from 4 to 6 lanes on Gibsonton Drive. That's also, that's not a regional priority. The next one is. The 59th priority is Big Bend Road. These are bookends along Big Bend to widen from 4 to 6 lanes. The intersection of Big Bend and I-75 is formerly a regional priority. It was already completed. So 59 is to complete that project at the bookends on the west and east side of 75. All right, so that wraps it up for Table 2. Table 3 is, again, really, really long. It includes all of the projects in FDOT's work program, as well as all of the projects in each jurisdiction's capital improvements programs. There are hundreds of projects in here. Some of the projects that have been programmed in 2021, which are not necessarily priorities, but are still notable, are HART's Route 11 bus service. There are a number of intersection improvements at several locations in South County. There are safety enhancements on Twiggs in downtown, Tampa Street and Florida Ave through Tampa Heights. There's another safety project on Bush Boulevard in Forest Hills. Just for a quick recap or quick summary of all the projects listed in Table 3, there's more than 100 infrastructure projects. They range from pavement maintenance, bridge rehab or repair, transit assets maintenance. There are about 40 safety projects in total, about 30 reliability or congestion relief projects, 13 multimodal to encourage walking, biking, and transit, and 23 major projects for economic growth. That full list, the full table, can be accessible via that link at the bottom of the slide. A quick breakdown of all the projects that are going to be funded in the coming year. We've produced a pie chart showing a breakdown of how funding is allocated according to the 5 investment programs identified in our long-range plan. We included a 6th program as a catch-all because some of the projects that are funded defy categorization. They are in the DOT work program or in the capital investment programs from the jurisdictions, but they're not necessarily connected to our transportation goals. So some of the projects you might find in the miscellaneous category are like port or airport projects. I saw a couple for pesticide and herbicide applications for like landscaping through the right-of-way, and there are a couple of planning studies added. But this slide shows you a breakdown of how the funding is split. I think that wraps it up for section 2, which is the longest. We're almost done. In section 3, I want to quickly cover what the next steps are for producing the TIP and what to expect over the next 3 weeks or so. We already submitted a draft of the TIP document and the tables to DOT. We do this every year as it's pretty much like a preliminary check to make sure that we are on our way to producing a TIP that complies with all the regulations. They reviewed it last week. They asked us to include a few elements so that we're in compliance. I've passed along all of those notes to our engagement team, which is working on producing the draft, and they expect to have all of the comments addressed within the next 10 days to 2 weeks. The final, as in 100% compliant version of the TIP will be ready in time for the board mail out, which is on June 2nd. The CAC will see the final version and the board will see the final version. As we're making these updates and addressing any issues that come up, we're being sure to notify people via the TIP webpage, and all of the documents have a date stamp on them so you can see and be sure that if you download it and you're reviewing it, you're looking at the most current version of all of those materials. One other thing that we're working on is ensuring that the entire TIP document is ADA compliant. This was a suggestion by District 7 because about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, there was a wave of lawsuits against public agencies for not having documents being accessible by folks with disabilities. So we're really working hard to ensure that everything that we produce this year is compatible with a screen reader. We also need to finalize a list of regionally significant projects, and we're doing that by coordinating with other MPOs and TPOs across the Tampa Bay area. Each year, the 8 MPOs and TPOs across Tampa Bay get together. Just for reference, those include Hernando, Citrus, Pinellas, Pasco, Hillsborough, Sarasota, and Manatee. Like I said, they get together and they identify projects that we believe will have an impact on regional travel and commerce. We evaluate them at the staff level and submit the list of regional candidates to the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance, and that group either approves them or denies them. If the list is approved, we then add them to the TRIP priority list. TRIP is one of the primary sources of funding for regional projects. The only catch for securing funding for TRIP projects is that they have to be listed in each MPO, TPO's TIP, as well as the regional priority list. So if we want any project to be funded with TRIP dollars, we have to include it in our tip, and it has to be included in the regionally significant project list. That same process that I just described applies to regional trail projects as well. Wade Reynolds is coordinating with that group, and I believe that the list is almost final. Some of the additions or some of the projects that you'll find on the regional trail priority list, also in our tip, are the South Coast Greenway, South Tampa Greenway, Bypass Canal, and maybe a couple others. Like I said, the Multi-Use Trail Committee, I believe, has already finalized those projects. The TRIP project submissions are being evaluated at the staff level now. We're planning on submitting both the TRIP priorities and the multi-use trail priorities to the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance on June 25th. And again, if we want to secure any funding for these projects, they have to be cross-referenced or double listed in our tip and the regional list.
Okay, so you're gonna send me an email? Yeah, can you text me your email address?
The draft tip and tables are already posted on the tip webpage. I included a link on this slide for you all.
Johnny, hang on one second. Anybody who's not speaking at this time, can you please mute yourself?
You're gonna have to self-mute because I've got everyone muted and go to, yeah, so please self-mute. Thank you.
Thanks for that. I was just gonna talk a little bit louder, but your way is much more polite.
Thank you.
I'm almost done. So yeah, the draft tip and tables 1, 2, and 3, as well as a funding summary, all the information that we've produced this year for the tip update, it's on the webpage. I included the link on this slide, as well as at the bottom of most slides throughout the presentation. So it's available for review. Again, we've date stamped everything so that you can ensure you're reviewing the most recent and current version of everything. The public comment period is open now. The public can go provide comment and tell us what they think about all of these projects through Facebook, Twitter. We have a tip hotline that we've set up so you can call and leave us a voicemail. We're receiving emails, and of course they can attend any committee meeting or the board hearing and provide a comment directly to those groups. June 9th is the date of the TIP public hearing. It begins at 6:30, and I believe it's going to be hybrid. It'll be accessible through like a video conference, and I believe that they're also meeting in County Center. So I think that about wraps it up. Since I heard that you all have a quorum, the recommended action for the committee to take is to approve the 2021/22 through 2025-26 TIP update. And I'm done with that, so I'll be happy to answer any questions from the committee now.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. What a great report you just given us. Is there anybody who would like to ask any questions, any type of discussion? Don't hold back, kids.
Well, I don't see anybody unmuting.
I have a quick question, Sarah Hendricks. Johnny, just off the top of your head, I know this is kind of a little bit specific, but are there any projects that are earmarked for congestion mitigation air quality funding, Cmac?
I don't believe so. I'd have to, if there are, they would be in table 3. I'll have to pull it up and email you, see if I can identify any off the top of my head. But yeah, I think that they would either be listed in the smart cities category or in the miscellaneous category. I'll do a quick Control F search, and if anything comes back, I'll send it out to the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Arizona. A couple questions. Question 1, do yellow gal have the same option to use their funds to get new vehicles? Because yellow is operating with Hot Plus, and some of the vehicles need to be updated.
Talking about Heart Bus?
I'm talking about yellow cab.
Yellow cab.
Yellow cab, I guess, substitutes and assists Heart Plus. And he's wondering about new vehicle upgrades.
I don't know specifically about how the transportation disadvantaged money is programmed within the agency, but there is a line item in Table 3 indicating how much money is allocated to transportation disadvantaged services generally. That could include operations, capital. It doesn't show us exactly how it's broken out by the agency.
Okay. Well, I would have to holler on board tomorrow. We have a board meeting tomorrow. I had to. And also, the budget on Livable Drive. Do you know how long it's gonna be?
Can you say that again? I didn't catch it, all of that.
The project on Livable Drive.
Maybe
How long before they get that done?
Columbus Drive, are you talking about the Complete Street
Yeah.
project? Okay, Cal, thank you.
I can check on the actual schedule. I think they got about 6 months left, but that's the one from 14th in Nebraska. If y'all want to keep on going with other questions, I can chime in with the actual schedule when I get to it. Just to let you know, the schedule that I have is FDOT closeout schedule, so it's going to be a lot further in the future than the actual construction. So when they do construction schedules, there's like a bunch of time at the end for final invoicing, like little punch list items, things like that, where you probably won't, for all intents and purposes to the public, the road's already open, the project's built, but there's little things that we still have to do on the back end to get the project certified and stuff like that. So the date that I let you know, I'll look up the date, but that date's actually way past when the actual construction stops.
Okay, while he's looking that up, do we want to go on to any further questions? I'm sorry, Arizona, were you finished?
I have one more.
Okay.
That walk improvements, you do a lot of work outside of the county. When are we gonna make it inside the county? We don't. I believe Flint City and Mango and all the other counties, they ought to have their own money to do their own sidewalks.
I think correct me, I think you said that there's some sidewalk improvements outside the county.
I said you guys are doing a lot of work in Flint City, Dover area, but I thought they had their own money to do their own sidewalks. We need to do more sidewalk in the county.
As far as how much money each jurisdiction is allocating to sidewalk improvements, I don't know for sure. I could pull that information and get it to you if you're interested. I'll just do that anyway, actually. But I'll say in general, we don't have enough money to do a sufficient amount of work for any of these.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying. We are wasting our money in Flint City. We are wasting our money in Dover. We need to put the money back over here, back in the county. Flint City and Dover, they should have their own allocated money. We should not be wasting our $10 over there.
Appreciate that comment. I can't comment on that, but what I can do is I'll put together a pie chart showing how much money is allocated to each jurisdiction, like how much money is being spent by the county and the cities, just for comparison, and I'll have Lisa email that out to everyone.
Okay, well, I know you can't comment on that, but you can let them know that I said it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will add that the MPO serves all 4 jurisdictions and that Johnny is highlighting specific projects that are changing and additions this year. But when you look at the whole program, yeah, it's pretty balanced for all jurisdictions.
So I can, real quick, June 2022 is the final construction date for Columbus, but like I said, that's project closeout. So I would expect probably closer to subtract 4 to 5 months off of that for the actual like final where everything looks nice and pretty. So
Okay, Arizona, did that answer your questions? Give me 1 second, Miss Lisa.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other further questions for Mr. Wong? Johnny, as always, my friend, great to see you. Thank you for this wonderful report. And we, yes.
Lisa, are we taking action on this? Do you have an in-person forum?
Yeah, hold on. And we have an answer to one of our previous questions that was submitted in the chat by Executive Director Beth Alden. So it says, Sarah, FDOT District 7 gets around 1 million of Cmac funding per year because we are in attainment for air quality standards. The use of the funds is not restricted to congestion management, mitigation, or air quality projects. It may or may not be used for a project in Hillsborough County. If you want to track this down, you may want to search the FDOT work program. So that's in the chat to everybody if you want to reread it. And we are still virtual, so this is technically a discussion item, but if you guys discuss and say that in general you're supportive of it, and that we already captured the comments regarding the questions, that would be helpful for us to communicate to the board during their tip hearing.
Would anybody like to propose a letter to the board saying that we commit that we are in support of this?
It won't require a letter. Just, we can do a virtual motion. I'm just trying to acknowledge that we don't meet sunshine requirements for an official motion, but we can say we're in support of it as it is, or if there's a proposal to amend, that's what we're looking for. Discussion and support, just like we do with the minutes every month. We just capture any comments. This is not technically an official vote.
So would we move to recommend approval?
That's that's where I'm going with this. Who would like?
Okay, I move to recommend approval to the board.
Great, thank you, Kathy.
seconded.
Who's the second?
Cal Hardy.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion made by Ms. Coyle, seconded by Mr. Hardy. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed on this? Thank you all very, very, very much. Miss Lisa, do we have what we need on this?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Good
much.
job, Johnny.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Appreciate it.
Lisa, can you take it back, or do I have to make you the presenter?
I'm taking over.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
right.
everyone.
I believe Allison's next, so I'm making her presenter.
Next, we're going to hear from the McIntosh PD&E. Miss Allison, are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Citro. Let me get you to full screen on this presentation. Can you see my screen? Hopefully the full screen. Not yet? Okay.
Not seeing it.
How's that?
Still not.
Thank you.
I sent presenter request to you. Did you accept?
Yeah, I clicked on show my screen.
Okay, never mind. I can see it now. I don't see full slides though. I see next slide and the
looks like the screens are mixed up.
I think you have to go to display settings at the top.
Wait.
Yeah, click that and then swap.
All right, there you go. How's that?
Now
okay,
full screen. Thank you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Sorry about the delay. This is going to be, Johnny had a marathon, unnecessary TIP presentation. Hopefully this will be a fairly quick briefing on the McIntosh Road south of US 92 to north of I-4. It's a project development environmental studies. It's a DOT study that I want to review with you briefly. You have the entire 27-page packet with you. If you want to delve into deeper, I'm happy to answer questions on that too. So we're part of the environmental review process. That means that projects go, when the DOT is developing a project, they have to do an environmental review. So they have a system called the Efficient Transportation Decision-Making Process. And that's to early on take a look at the potential environmental impacts of transportation projects. So it goes to a host of agencies, including the local government. And when it comes to TPO, we really love it when we can bring it to the Livable Roadways Committee for your opinions and insights. Here's the project itself. It's the candy stripe line you see, McIntosh Road. So from south of US 92 to north of I-4. The general purpose of the project is that they would like to reconstruct this road to widen it from 2 to 4 lanes to accommodate future capacity needs. There's no bike lanes on there right now, so they want to add bike lanes and sidewalks. And there's some operational improvements that are needed at the I-4 interchange. So just over a mile, and current conditions are, as I mentioned, 2-lane undivided, and the speed limit is 40 miles per hour. Here is the engineering graphic for it. I think it shows the McIntosh Road is now flipped sideways, but what it shows you is the changes they're proposing, and it's going to be 4-lane divided, same speed limit with 11-foot travel lanes and 5 to 7 feet bike lanes and 6 feet sidewalks. The packet and analysis they developed showed that there's transportation demand and capacity needs. So the facility, according to 2020 average daily traffic counts, is already at a level of service F and failing, about 19,000 trips a day. And by 2045, that will increase to 31,000, with traffic volumes still remaining at a level of service F. So McIntosh Road connects US 92 and I-4, and they're both evacuation routes with quite a bit of freight traffic. So it's an important system linkage. Moreover, 92, which is linked by McIntosh, sometimes serves as a reliever road for I-4, which is considered a strategic intermodal facility. So during accidents, these two work together and they would need to be connected by McIntosh. Safety considerations. In your packet, most of the safety data is related to vehicle accidents. So there was 175 accidents in this area between 2015 and 2019. The average crash rate, 10.23, is above the statewide average of 0.69 for the same type of facility. The report and analysis, they believe that accidents are mostly due to this kind of on-off ramp, conflicts when people are getting on and off I-4 into McIntosh. And over 50% of those crashes that were identified were either rear end crashes or left turns. Also, as I mentioned earlier, there is no bike lanes designated or sidewalks on this corridor right now, except for at the northeast and southeast corner of US 92, where there's a RV park and a school. So adding sidewalks to this project and bike lanes is a major safety improvement. As a part of all these projects and reviews, we ask our Planning Commission colleagues to take a look at the comprehensive plan and let us know areas that would be consistent with the project or maybe just areas of concern. So these are 4 transportation element objectives out of the comprehensive plan for Hillsborough County. Objective 1 addresses capacity issues and need to serve and develop at an adapted level of service and standard. Objective 1.3 talks about addressing the need for safety improvements. As I mentioned earlier, currently the roadways crash rates are quite a bit higher than the statewide average for similar facilities. The next objective, 6.1.5, addresses the county's desire to assess the need and suitability of roadways for freight movement. And finally, for the last policy, the need to pursue adequate highway systems, and the fact that this McIntosh connects US 92 and I-4 with high truck capacity serves an evacuation route is something important to consider. Finally, just taking a look at what TPO plans and studies might be relevant to this. We have in terms of improving the multimodal networks, we've developed the Hillsborough and Polk Freight Logistics Zone Strategic Plan. I believe actually Lisa was the project manager for that. In terms of resiliency, US 92 and I-4 are both evacuation routes, and they've been identified in the Resilient Tampa Bay study as critical facilities. This project is listed in the preliminary engineering phase in the state TIP for fiscal year 21, which is actually this current fiscal year. In terms of improving safety and equity and how our studies overlap, so there is the Vision Zero Action Plan and the Speed Management Action Plan. We're also feel like it's very important to look at the non-discrimination plan. In the report, you'll see that 42% of the minorities are located in this project area has 42% minority population. Also, something to consider, that air quality was brought up earlier with the TIP. We want to consider air quality considerations. The report states that there's no current air quality impacts, but there's also no noise barrier. So I think as part of the recommendation, we're going to be mentioning our low-cost air quality monitoring network project that the MPO is supporting and working with USF and EPC on. And also wanted to point out that we also have an environmental noise white paper. And that, in a nutshell, is a review of this project. The MPO will be turning in a review to the state via their ETDM system, and we'd like to gather any input and suggestions that this committee has for our review. Happy to answer any questions you have. I can't hear anyone, but
I have a question. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
This is Una Johnson. I know that there's 3 schools in this area. Let's see, there's the Independence Academy, the Bailey Elementary School, and Strawberry Crest High School. And I know that, being consultant with the Hillsborough County School Board at one point, they were looking into also improving school access, because I know there's congestion with those schools and the AM and PM hours. And of course, that congestion conflicts with the congestion of just the regular community hours of traffic. And was wondering what you've done to accommodate those schools in that area that use this connection so much, either for parent drop off or even just bus routes, and how the integration of bike lanes with these schools will be included, if they're separated bike lanes or they're just a painted stripe on the side of the road.
So from the report that we received from the Department of Transportation and the schematic that I showed you earlier, it's not clear that level of connection. And they do cite that at the corner of 92 southeast corner, there is some connection to the school. What I can do is I can, 1, comment on that potential need, and 2, I can get back with the project manager and let you know specifically if when they are designing the bike lanes, do they make the connection directly to the school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something to, I think Hillsborough County School Board is part of this group too. I'm sure they would have some insight as well. So just wanted to bring that up.
Right. We have Matt Pleasant on the call today, so he's got the packet and aware, so he can bring it to the on-site circulation committee and comment as well. So Matthew,
I'll certainly add that into our review as well, so that you have support from both sides. And I can follow up with the project manager and provide the information to Lisa to send on to you, if that helps.
Yeah, and this is Matt with the school district. We'll definitely take a look at this project, but we're talking about McIntosh Road, right? And it goes, I think the school of probably the greatest concern is Independence Academy at the corner of Hillsborough. So there aren't any, I guess my question would be, is this going to impact Newsom Road? What those connections would be, and if I would be interested to know if there's any walk and bike connections along Newsom that would be added or enhanced as a result of the project.
Okay, it doesn't look like from the schematic that looks like they're focusing on the main McIntosh Road, but that's something to bring up and suggest. This is why they come to you so early in the preliminary engineering phase. So this is a perfect time to comment and ask.
Allison, this is David. I had a question. Are they proposing, how many pedestrian crossings are in that length?
David, from the schematic, if it's like the 5th page in the packet, I think. It doesn't show the pedestrian crossings, but that's something I can also inquire about.
Yeah, because you know,
crossings.
that whole area is kind of unique of unincorporated county. It has an SMU 6, even though it's out in the rural area. So once really water and sewer gets out there, we're probably going to see a very you know, SMU 6 in other areas has townhomes and things like that. So it's not going to be rural for long. So, you know, ensuring that people can get across the street is just as important, I think, as ensuring that there's sidewalks on both sides.
I noticed in the report that they characterize this as rural, as you said, in low density, primarily low density, but they didn't mention the future land use of this area. So, okay.
It's all SMU 6. So it will be pretty intense for at least the county once water and sewer gets out there.
Yeah, that future land use category is good to comment. And then the frequency and distance between crossings would be something you could tie to the Vision Zero action plan. Great ideas. You guys are always awesome.
Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
So I won't be submitting this maybe for another week. If you think of something else, you know, please send an email to myself or Lisa, and I can add that in. Okay.
All right. Next, I'm making Wade the presenter because he's the presenter for the next topic.
Great. If you all will let me know when you can see my screen, I'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, we can see it, and it's full screen too.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm here to talk to you about a study we just kicked off, looking at a trail to connect the proposed Green Artery Trail, which connects a number of neighborhoods and parks in the Central Tampa area to the University of South Florida and Veterans Administration in that area. So just looking at the study area, you can see in the top right, the University of South Florida. Across from that, Bruce B. Downs, and then the University Mall, which is now being referred to as Rhythm at Uptown. And then continuing south of Fowler, we go through the University Square and Terrace Park neighborhoods down to Sulphur Springs at the southern end. And then at the southern end, right along the Hillsborough River, we have the Green Artery Trail there shown at the bottom. So a couple of things here just to comment on. We have two main components of this, or really three. The connection internally from the Veterans Administration to the University Mall, the connections across Bruce B. Downs to the University of South Florida, and then the connections further to the south with particular regard to crossing Fowler and Bush, which are major roadways to cross in that area. Here, moving on. On the left here, we have the existing Green Artery Trail. You can see the Hillsborough River on the top and left side there. So that top area, which is shown as segments E and D, are where we're looking to connect up to the Green Artery. The Green Artery connects 20-something neighborhoods throughout the central core of the city of Tampa. It's broken into 1, 2, 8 segments there. And on the eastern side, hooks up all the way down to the Selman Greenway and Palmetto Beach. And on the western side to the Heights development, Armature Works, and the Tampa Riverwalk. So connecting those neighborhoods and parks is a major component of that trail. If we look at the 2 photos on the right, the lower one is with regard to food deserts. So there are 2 different types of food deserts measured in distance around grocery stores and people's proximity to that. You may be able to see from this photo that basically the entire study area is within a food desert. So no need to look too hard, but it is certainly largely within a food desert. The top picture there on the right is from our health atlas. And this is just one measure, but it shows up in several measures on the health atlas. This happens to be chronic diseases and asthma in particular. A large portion of the study area is in the highest category of asthma percentage in the county, which that dark blue is 10 to 15% of the people in that area with chronic asthma. So just talking about the study purpose, determining the feasibility of a trail connecting USF to the planned Green Artery Perimeter Trail and surrounding neighborhoods, particularly with those crossings. We're working closely with FDOT on those crossings of Fowler and Bush. There are some existing intersections, and on Bush, the new Hawk overhead full signalized pedestrian beacons. A couple of other things we'll be looking at is the Uptown Master Plan, which initially proposed that connection between the VA and the University Mall or Rhythm at Uptown. The Tampa Walk Bike Plans, which I believe we have done 6 phases of those and have some great connections, which the city continues to implement. One of the corridors within this study area is 30th Street, for which they have proposed a multi-use path alongside, as well as bike lanes on street. And then the Fowler Avenue or multimodal feasibility study, which is a big component. We are reaching out right now to key stakeholders. We've met with most of these by now. Thank you to those who are on the phone who have already participated in these meetings. We really appreciate it, and we're great to have you as partners. Just to go through the schedule and public participation process, as I mentioned, we're doing these individual stakeholder meetings. We'll be holding a larger focus group once we've conducted those stakeholder meetings, and also once we have some alternatives, we'll have a public survey and be carrying that through for a couple of months at the end of the summer. One of the requests that we had regarding that was to keep it open for a couple of weeks once USF students are back in session, which we totally agree with and will do. So just to talk about the schedule, here we are in May. We're working on the existing conditions memo. We are looking to have alternatives by mid to late July, as well as starting that public survey once we have those alternatives in place. And then we will be coming back to committees in August for your blessing and further comment. So as I mentioned, the next steps are those alternative developments, public and stakeholder engagement. And we look forward to hearing that and hearing any requests from the committees. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
They're all quiet now. Thanks, Wade.
Mr. Citra, I could not tell if you were trying to say something, but you appear to be muted.
When we finally get out of this wonderful pandemic, is is you're muted. That's the number one phrase. Mr. Reynolds, thank you very much. Was there any comments or any questions for Mr. Reynolds? All right. Again, I thank you. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you. Again, thank you for this wonderful report. All right, Ms. Lisa, we're going on to old new business. We'll hear from Bike Stock.
I put these in here as a reminder for me to tell everybody about it. So Bike Stock is an event this Saturday. Bayshore Boulevard will be closed from 3 to 7 p.m. The flyer is in your packet, and there's all kinds of things flying around on social media, but I know this group has always been interested in supporting open street events. This one is in particular going to support a charity to gather funds to provide bicycles to disadvantaged children. So come on out. I'm sure Vision Zero will be present, so you can check it out. And then I wanted to share good news. Your MUTCD letter was accepted very well by the TPO board last week. They went ahead and signed it and sent it on to provide comments. And I have heard since then that there were 26,500 comments from various entities on this. So your enthusiasm led to even some individual TPO board members to submit their own personal letters. So thank you for bringing this and up. That it made a big difference. So thank you for that. And then we just have a lot of interesting, fun things in the addendums, including something that I'm the liaison for. The Gulf Coast Safe Street Summit is going to be November 5th of this year, and it's going to be in partnership with Bike Walk Tampa Bay annual summit. So it'll be a big splashy thing, and we'll be hosting a local workshop. So there you go, some hold the date information. But that's and then an update on our virtualness. Let's see, today's May. So we'll meet like this in June. We recess in July. By August, we'll be having an in-person quorum required. Some kind of hybrid event is predicted for August. And I wanted to thank the committee for their patience because this committee and Wade's committee are still meeting 100% virtual. It's allowing some reprieve for our overworked IT team that have been working to support all these hybrid meetings. So they are very appreciative and called us out specifically. So thank you for your patience with that.
Okay, is any new business want to come before our committee today? Anybody want to add anything?
I would not. That's okay.
Go ahead, Karen. Ms. Kress, go ahead, please.
Thank you. This Friday is National Bike to Work Day, so we are organizing a ride into downtown Tampa from 8 different neighborhood starting locations. And the mayor is participating, and Chair Citro was invited to participate. I haven't heard back from him yet, no pressure. So feel free to work out of the park when you're done, or just do a brief exercise ride in the morning before you start your day, because I know not everyone is working in downtown right now. Happy Bike Month.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. I think
well, Ms. Kress, if I may defend myself, I had a procedure done last week, and it's my doctor's orders that I can't even drive a car. So just to defend myself.
Okay, you're excused.
Thank you.
And then I thought of one more thing. FDOT sent a survey out for the aesthetics package that's come before it, like last year, I believe it was, for the Howard Franklin Bridge. They said that they would have a couple of choices, and there's a survey out on that, so I'll be distributing that to you by email so you can provide feedback.
I heard someone else in the background that wanted to make a comment.
It's Cal.
Okay,
I don't know if there's been. Okay, I just want to let everybody know Hines Avenue, complete streets from Columbus Drive to Hillsborough has been completed. We added a series of RFBs and bus bays to that roadway, as well as completing some new striping with bike lanes as well. So if you go down around the stadium area, you'll see a couple new RFPs there on Hines. And then also Harbor Island has been completed. A few first on the city for that was our raised crosswalks on a collector road. We haven't had those anywhere on a city, so it's a good Harbor Island. The actual design of those roadways is kind of suburban, but I do think that will have that will kind of be a good example project of how we can treat our suburban roadways in some of like New Tampa area. So that's one to check out. There's also some delineated bike lanes now across the Beneficial Drive Bridge as part of that project. So if you go out there, there's some post delineators that kind of separate the bike lanes from the vehicular traffic. And then one more thing to note on those were both city design projects. So we did that with in-house staff. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Hines was not, but Harbor Island was a city design project, so we did that with in-house staff. So we did not have any design funds towards that. So say the taxpayers a bit of money there. And as well, we constructed the resurfacing. It was kind of split between a contractor and our in-house ops crew. So we saved some money, a substantial amount of money on the resurfacing there as well. So all in all, that project came in well under budget for what we would have paid if we did it elsewhere. So just wanted to kind of throw that out. There's a lot of hardworking people over at the city that, that don't get highlighted a lot, that do a lot for the city and for safety. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to kind of just throw those two projects out there. Those are ones that have been in the works for a while now.
Well, I for one, thank you for those comments. And yes, there are a lot of people in this city that work for the city that do a lot, especially in our mobility department. And I actually see one on our screen that I wish we still had here, Ms. Coyle, that has served many, many years and served us well. Any other comments before we decide to adjourn? Miss Lisa, you're muted.
Wow, took 3 tries to unmute. I see a little activity in the chat. So Christian's one of our newer members. So I wanted to point out that yes, the go-to webinars are recorded and they're posted to the MPO TPO's YouTube channel approximately 1 week later. So if you do want to go back and review things, or in this case, Christian, if you wanted the detailed PowerPoint or details of the tip, which is the presentation he's referencing, we have a tip page on our planhillsboro.org website, and all the materials are there, or you can email me. Thank you, everyone.
If I hear no objection, we are adjourned. Everybody, please enjoy the rest of your day.
Great, thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Good meeting.
See you this weekend, Kathy.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Bye.
Bye.